This thing
Recording in
rocking and
progress.
rolling. Yes, Carolyn, thank you. Right there. We'll be back to, okay, so we have 4 things on the agenda, then go from there. Thurston Economic Development Council presentation, and I believe Heidi is presenting today.
Not all my ones, but I just started this. So.
Okay.
Okay. Well, thank you for inviting us in tonight. My name is Heidi McCutcheon. I'm the Deputy Director of the Thurston EDC. Michael sends his regrets that he can't be here tonight. He made the mistake of missing his wife's birthday one other time and chance that again. So I think that he made the right decision. So first off, thank you for allowing us to partner with you. We have a good history with the city of Yelm and have been working quite hard on your behalf. I also see George Sharp. He is our rural programs manager, as well as the city initiative. And then Evan Parker, who is one of our board members, and a commercial real estate agent who sat in on several site selection meetings with us earlier this year. So, and is Sean here?
Yep, right there.
Oh, Sean's here. Sean is our director for the Center for Business and Innovation, which is where a number of our entrepreneurial programs go through. So training for the business owners. So Sean, I'm going to go ahead and kick it to you and let you start off.
Thanks, Heidi, and thanks to everyone for having us this evening. We appreciate it. So, everybody hear me okay?
Thanks, Sean.
Yep, thanks. So I'll talk a little bit about...
Turn the volume down, so just give it 1 second while they get that going.
Try now.
That's fine.
Test.
Yep.
There you go.
Okay, thanks. All right, good evening, everyone. Thanks again. So I'll talk a little bit about some of the entrepreneurial services we offer through the Center for Business and Innovation and how they impact Yelm entrepreneurs. And so through 2023, we did assist 15 Yelm entrepreneurs through our various trainings, including our Intro to Business training course. And part of what we offer through the Center for Business and Innovation and all of these services are provided at no cost to the entrepreneurs. And so part of the investment in the EDC pays for us to be able to offer these services at no cost and scholarship services to individuals and businesses. So some of the folks from Yelm went through our Intro to Business course last year. And that's our starting point for new entrepreneurs. It's a monthly webinar series. We actually have one tomorrow at 9 a.m. if anyone's interested. And that course also lives online. And so you can access that course at any time. And that's sort of the first step in our entrepreneurial ecosystem. It's a place where people can come and learn about starting a business and the first steps, and then get next step resources. One of those next step resource training we offer is the Business Enterprise Startup Training. We had several folks from Yelm take that course last year in 2023. They received scholarships to take that course. It's an online course that consists of 5 modules, one on writing a business plan, one on structuring and licensing your business, one on intellectual property for startups, accounting for startups, and then also branding and marketing for startups. And so that's a good next step for folks to sort of get their feet wet, learn how to write a business plan, and prepare to move into the phase of actually opening their business. Additionally, last year we started a new program called Business Tune-Up. And this is sort of a workshop program that has people come in, and what we've kind of being on the front lines of the pandemic, what we learned is that the businesses that made it through the pandemic had their accounting systems in order, and a lot of the businesses that didn't make it through didn't have their accounting systems in order. So that's one of our focuses coming out of COVID, is to really make sure that we support folks in getting their QuickBooks set up and understanding financial statements and really understanding the cash flow of their business. And so our Business Tune-Up program does that. It's a workshop style program. And so folks come in, they sit down. We had a few people from Yelm that joined us this last year. They bring their computers in, they sit down with the trainer, and they set up their chart of accounts in QuickBooks. They learn how to run third-party apps if they're going to try to do payroll. They learn how to run financial statements and actually figure out what those financial statements are telling them about their business. And so that's another a program that we offer scholarships for. Moving on from those sort of entry-level phases, we support all of this training with business coaching and advising at no cost, and that's done through myself or through the Women's Business Center program manager. And so folks that needs a little more hand-holding, a little more one-on-one guidance, really get to speak to someone for an hour as often as they need to be able to make sure that they're on the right track to either starting or growing their business. Another program that we're really proud of is our Scale Up program. And this is a program that was incubated at the EDC. And then the Department of Commerce liked it so much that they adopted it. We continue to administer it on behalf of the Department of Commerce. And so that's one of those programs that's for growth stage businesses. I believe one of us here today went through the program recently, so hopefully we got some good reviews in-house here. And so the Scale Up program is really a growth stage, 2 years plus businesses, really trying to get businesses from that 6-figure revenue to the 7-figure revenue. It's a 9-week training course that's paid for through the Department of Commerce, and we do the work on all of that. I'm sure everyone's heard of the Lacey Makerspace. It's a regional resource. We just reopened the Makerspace, and so now we've expanded it from 3,000 square feet to almost 10,000 square foot. And so if you have folks that are interested in creating products, prototyping things, doing brand merchandise for their organizations, we have things like Kevlar and carbon fiber 3D printers and high-tech CNC embroidery machines and direct-to-garment printers. And so we have the space is open now, and it's a resource for the entire region, and we're really proud of that. I think that's kind of covers the basics of what I was going to talk about. Heidi, do you want me to mention anything else?
I don't think so. I would add on to that. The makerspace, I don't know if any of you guys have been in there. It went from kind of a feel of like a shop that has some different equipment that you can utilize in it to a full-fledged state-of-the-art facility that is really impressive. And I think that it's a real asset to Thurston County to be able to have something like that. We think that it has the capacity to be one of the premier maker spaces in the United States. So we do have a ribbon cutting come up that will be on March 27th at 2 p.m. So if any of you can make it, then we'd love to see you there and show off our new digs. So
where is it located?
It's at the St. Martin's campus in Zaverill Hall. They don't actually have a street address, but if you put Zaverill Hall, yeah. George, do you want to talk a little bit about studying some of the programs?
Yeah, so again, I represent South Thurston Economic Development Initiative. I'm the rural program manager, and I serve from Yelm all the way to Grand Mountain, Rochester. And on a monthly basis, we bring together a lot of partners to say, how do we serve these communities? We start to identify what are the funding sources available for them. And what we really want to know this coming year in 2024 is what is each community's priorities so that we can help to start focus on those. We're also going to be applying for a USDA Rural Development Grant to help create a strategic plan for that entire section and then mark it off by city. So you'll tell us, this is what we want to accomplish. So we'd like to hear, after you have your retreat, what do you come back from and say, these are our top priorities, what we want to focus on and help you accomplish those things. And that's the main things that he does. I think, Josh is our newest person. We started in I don't know how long ago, Joe, that you were my
first year, 2016.
For several months that Joe was our company. So, and we're here to support you, and that's what I want to accomplish.
So one of the things that we appreciate your partnership for is with the USDA grant that he was just talking about has a matching component. And so the funds that you give us to carry out some of these initiatives basically are extended as we're able to go over after some additional grant funding to help the businesses in our area. So we're thankful for that. I do have some paperwork. If you've met Michael, you know that he wouldn't want me to leave without giving you anything. So it has a list of the businesses that have utilized our programs in Yelm most recently. I'll go ahead and start there and let you guys pass. There's enough. And then, of course, there's three main tenets of the Thurston agency. So it's to recruit investment employers into the region, to retain existing businesses, and then of course to expand markets. So one of the things that I was excited to hear Evan was doing this is for the past couple of years, we have had a site selection agency find people from different regions across the United States and then talk about the amenities and such that Thurston County has. And do you want to fill in a little bit about those meetings?
Even on the spot.
Yeah, yes.
For you. Good to be back. I was here for your moral support. No, we had, it was this, the site. So what site selectors do is they will represent a number of companies. And then they go out and find, typically in our case, it's industrial locations where they might be able to land. And so we were able to talk to 15 different, site selectors that, I don't know, might run with anybody from a half a dozen to a couple dozen clients that they're looking for. And so I think from a county perspective, we were able to expose all of Thurston County, both, all the cities represented. I think we did a really good job of showing what assets we have and how and why they should be interested in our market. So it's a great opportunity to be able to meet with them. And I think it's in line with our mission. It's all of the county, and it was, we had great feedback from them as well. All right, thank you.
The only other thing that I wanted to just briefly touch upon is the EDC runs what's formerly known as the PTEC program. So Department of Defense has renamed and rebranded that for Apex Accelerators. And so what we do there is we work with businesses to help them increase their success rate bidding with local governments. And that's not simply local, but also at the statewide and the federal level. So in the last year alone, the businesses that we worked with in that program were awarded nearly $600 million in contracts. So that we think is a huge success rate. I know some of our contractors have worked with you guys in the past, or some of the people, not our contractors, but some of the people that have gone through the program. So that has been a very, very good program for us. And as Sean mentioned, because of the partnership with City of Yelm and others, we are able to put our businesses through these programs and meet with these advisors free of cost to them. So that's all I have on my notes. I won't read the papers to you, but I'm happy to.
If I could just add two things.
Yes, please.
We commissioned a retail study with you about 4 years ago. And so we'd like to revisit that retail study with you. What came out of that? Is there anything that could be refreshed to that? And then about 5 years ago, we actually sat down and wrote a 52-page plan for you about economic development plan. And we'd like to revisit that too and say, how can we refresh that together with your staff? Yep.
It kind of goes in with my question then of, have you developed any plans to attract businesses to Yelm specifically? Not just, your whole area that you cover, but what can Yelm offer specifically to business?
Well, that plan we did 5 years ago, we identified in there some of those things that we'd like to do. But that plan the city council never saw that plan. It stayed with your staff at that time. And so that's why we'd like to bring that back up and say, what resonates with you and what is it that you really want to see here? And then bring to out what's realistic to bring here to. We're not going to probably bring Nordstrom's to Yelm.
Right.
But we can bring other things. We could bring, the things that more fit what your demographic is. We have a research team to help us identify that demographic and look at what are the gaps that are leaving us right here in Yelm. So we can do that as well. So, and I think, get that plan to you so you could see it when you come out of, I'd like to get that to you before your retreat so you kind of see what was in that. And then look forward to your retreat. And we're willing right after you've had your retreat to come out here and have a work session with you. Well, let's brainstorm what came out of that, what Yelm wants to see happen from a recruitment standpoint, and then support we're always here to support your businesses.
We'll have a copy for the council retreat. Nordstrom rack would be okay. The rack would be okay.
Any other questions, Brian?
Through your Economic Development Council, would it, is it through you that if we were trying to figure out like the industrial side of like a hydroponic farming system being brought in? Because we have that capability of having studied it, of just needing the water. We have reclaimed water that once it gets put into the system, it's just a little bit every now and then due to evaporation that occurs. Is it things like that that we could work through, help recruit that? Or
So two answers. One is the more data that we have, the better that we are able to shop on your behalf. We also have a research and development team at the EDC. So two guys that really know their statistics and their data. So if there's commercial retail leakage reports that we can help with, or identify some of the other industries that are here available that will help identify if this would be a good fit for different businesses, then certainly we can provide some of that information.
Anything else? I'm good for now.
awesome, thank you.
Moving on, Mr. Stansel, 640 acres. For those unfamiliar, because somebody today was like, what? I was talking about the 640 acres the city of Yelm owns, all right, and clear, and we've been thinking about what to do with it. So, I mean, let us know what your thoughts are on that.
Yes, some updates on the 640. So I know we haven't talked about it for a few months now, but we talked about it internally often for the last 2-3 months. So, which is why our city attorney, Brent Dilley, came tonight, because we've been communicating with him. Essentially, we've had a lot of discussions on what are the possibilities with the 640. Obviously, it's landlocked currently, and that has some restrictions. So how do we go about gaining access to it? There's also the 2.7 mile, Cody's going to pull it up.
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead and throw it up there. There's also the 2.7 mile bypass, or southern, we called it the southern loop, right? That goes through that property as well, which is obviously a tremendous opportunity for us. So where we've gotten in kind of these discussions going forward, and in discussing further with Mr. Dilley, is we'd like to go out to do an RFP to bring on a consultant that would help us guide or give recommendations to the council going forward on this commercial property, what we can do with it, what's the best thing to do with it, working with the property owners around it to see if we can get access to it, the rights to get access to it. And so that's kind of where we are, just in some preliminary discussions in regards to the master plan that was approved in 2005, I believe, was when it was approved. We know that that's going to need to be updated. Obviously, a lot of things change in 20 years in regards to the business world. And so bringing on an independent third-party consultant to look at that and help give us suggestions or ideas on the best path forward for the city, we think is probably the right move. I'm not saying we haven't all had good ideas, because we've had some, and that might be what it ends up being at the end of the day. But at least from my side of things, when I sat down and I thought, this is a tremendous opportunity for the city of Yelm, and we're going to get one shot to do this the right way. What do we need to do? So my first call was to Mr. Dilley, who made some calls, and so we've had some conversations about, there are people that do that. There are people that do that for a living, that would work with the council and give us some recommendations on a path forward. So, Brent, do you have anything more on that as far as your end of things in regards to?
Well, good evening, council. I think maybe for some context, because I don't know everybody knows how we ended up with this 640 acres to begin with. That we acquired this, so there was an LID and there was a landowner who failed to pay. So we, quote, repossessed the property. Limited Improvement District. Sorry.
Try to stump you.
You said, thank you some background, people understand, a lot of people don't know what LID is,
All right.
and how that came to be.
So there was this assessment against this property and the landowner failed to pay. So the city repossessed it. But that doesn't mean that assessment just gets to go away. The city, it stays on the books and someone's going to end up having to pay that assessment, because what we did is we borrowed a whole bunch of money and now we need to repay that back. And now it becomes the city's bill. Well, our previous city administrator, Michael Graham, came up with a brilliant idea to use, and I apologize, I don't know what the acronym stands for, ARPA. Anything from the peanut gallery? Anyway, government funds during COVID that we were able to use to get ourselves out from underneath that assessment and us end up as owners of the land. And so now city owns this 640 acres that, you know, yeah, it could just sit there, or as Todd suggested, maybe we should try to look into what are the potential that the city can, you know, to utilize. And whether it's in, you know, I'm not equipped to do that, but someone like, you know, Mr. Parker here is certainly, you know, probably has some ideas as a commercial realtor about maybe how best to utilize the property and what are the opportunities. And maybe the easiest thing is to log it and pocket the money and then sell it to the neighbor. Or maybe we develop it, or maybe we joint venture to develop it, or maybe we sell it to a developer. All these things, bottom line is, you know, what are the, giving you guys the various options to, you know, what can we do with it? What does it look like? How much money, you know, if we keep it, what does that investment look like for the city? What's the return? All these questions that need to be answered. And I think someone who's, you know, does it for a living can give us those, can give you guys those options. So we're making an intelligent decision.
Do you know how much that would cost for a professional consultant?
You know, I think my guess would be probably in the $25,000 to $30,000 range to, you know, do the full study and come back with the various options.
So before we sign that, we would come back to the council with, this is just, we want to go out to do an RFP to get some bids in from consultants, and then we'd come back to council with that, at that point, have that discussion before we signed anything.
What do you hope to achieve from that?
The RFP?
Yeah, to
Would
see,
basically be what just saying.
options like what?
Well, so I think
Give me something concrete.
yeah, so the options, well, the RFP would bring in potential consultants, and we can, you know, look at their background, look what they've done in the past, and pick the folks that we think are the best fit to then.
I was gonna say, if you want some more concrete, they would create plans for us, different options that we could consider, such as, like he's saying, logging it. Now it could be one of the options. Developing it as a master plan community, changing up the master plan community, editing it somehow. Those are what those consultants would tell us.
When we're looking at trying to get somebody to do this for us, do we have our requirements that we're going to be kind of putting out there saying, hey, we've got, other than just saying, we have 640 acres, who wants to tell us who wants to give us advice on it? In other words, do we have like requirements of, we're looking for this kind of development, or we're looking for various things, and so we can.
Great question. I don't think you want to limit yourself. I think you want the real estate professional, development professional to come and give you guys feedback, as opposed to getting them down a path to the exclusion of maybe another idea that.
Well, the reason why I'm asking is the requirement portion is, if somebody is going to cost us $20,000 and we don't know exactly what product we're going to be getting, because we didn't kind of have that conversation, that maybe spending the $40,000 for somebody would have been a better idea. We don't want to be kind of sitting back on, oh, we should have gone with somebody who had a lot more. So that's what I'm asking is, how are we trying to choose who it is? Kind of like when Director Colt does a project and says, hey, we need to reservoir built. Here's all the requirements. You must meet the following things. That's what I'm asking about.
So I think different than an RFP to build a water tower or install a reservoir is we'll have professionals, present their proposals, and I presume there'll be some type of, potentially interview team that can ask those questions of what's your experience with this and so forth. So I don't think it's going to be just on Tuesday night, we're going to open up bids and, give it to the lowest bidder.
Yeah, I was gonna say, so it seems like with your RFP, what you really want to do is just get somebody in here who's gonna put out all the options for us, and good, bad, and otherwise, we're gonna look through everything, and then council will decide which is the best plan for us.
Yeah. Or you may decide that you don't like any of it.
Send it back. Yeah.
If we don't like what we hear from any of them, we just don't.
And we just wasted $25,000-$30,000.
We don't know that. Yeah.
We don't like any of them.
Right.
That's what it would be.
Yeah. We don't have to pay for any of them we want. The idea purely is just to, I guess, go through this process, interview some interested parties on their experience and what they've done before, and look at the unique. Obviously, it's unique because again, it's landlocked. It's as it sits right now, it's limited in value because of being landlocked. And so, do we have a way to get to it? Can we get to it? And what does that look like? Can we work with the neighboring property owners to gain access? And that's what this firm would do that. They would say, here's an option to get access to it. Or I've talked to the property owner and they're willing to work with the city on getting, those types of things.
Have we called the property owner and asked?
There has been a conversation.
Consultation for that, just to say, hey, Joe, we have this property next to yours. We want to get access to it. Can we make that happen?
Yes.
Has that conversation ever happened?
So that family is obviously represented by an attorney. And I will say that some contact has been made and there's some light that could be beneficial to us, but they're not willing to sit down with us until we know what our plan is. So that's where using a consultant to help us come up with our plan so we could go to the property owner and say, this is what we'd like to do. So
The only thing I really want to stress, kind of echoing what Todd was saying, this is a huge decision. It's probably going to be the biggest decision this council will make for decades. 640 acres is a lot. With the master plan community, which is slated for currently, if council wants to change it, they have the right to do so. But this is going to double our city size. We're going to have schools over there. We're going to have government buildings. It's going to be that's what the plan is right now under the master plan community. It's going to really determine how this city grows and develops.
City, right?
It could definitely be like.
We're going to sit vacant for the next 50 years.
If council wants to do that, that's their prerogative. But this is.
I'm saying somebody, may not buy into it. Holly.
I was just gonna pretty much say what Trevor said. You wouldn't want to put any kind of stipulation. It's just, I think, just the blank slate. And if it costs $20,000 or $25,000, yeah, that's a lot of money.
That's just a
No, and I understand that. But at the same time, they could come up with something that we never thought of. So I don't know. I don't like the idea of.
When I was talking about requirements, it's how are we going to choose that firm? Because it's not like the lowest bidder that is able to meet all the requirements of building something. We're now wanting intellectual property. So, somebody who is going to be super inexpensive, but all of a sudden the ideas that they bring to us.
Interview and read.
Yeah, there'll be a process. We'll have at least one council on there, likely the mayor pro tem, but maybe someone else to help on the process.
I'm just curious on what we're putting up to say to get people interested, because, as I say, it may be worthwhile. The one that's the most expensive is the one that gives us the biggest return because they actually have that knowledge, they have that
That will
experience.
be your decision as a council member to decide that or not.
Yeah, exactly.
I wanted to ask is it Mr. Parker?
Evan.
Oh, Evan. Are you, sorry, are you a commercial developer or commercial broker?
I'm a commercial broker. I work with clients that develop, but well,
Because
can I,
you're taking
can I
over.
comment on
Easy.
how I think it would go so you get to create the RFP that goes out to these consulting firms. And so in your RFP, we'll be able to talk about we don't have access. So we need access as one of the things that we need you to look at as part of their scope of work. They're going to go out and they're going to look at it. Well, for choosing a firm, you want to look at who they are, what they've done, like-sized cities. Have they done something like this, someplace else, whatever. And then once you find a firm that you feel like understands what you want to do, then that's hiring them. They go out and do like a highest and best use study. They'll look at access, they'll look at utility. They'll look at all of it for you and come up with some different scenarios. That from that point, you don't have to go any further if you don't desire, but really what they would help you do is create kind of help you create the vision. Then that's what you take out to the development community. This is what the city of Yelm wants. This is our vision. And we're looking for, now it's an RFP to developers that want to come in and invest in the community and that's how to say, develop within the ground rules that you guys have set up, which happens, much later in the process, not this first step. They're going to help you determine what questions you need to, or what requirements you need to put in an RFP.
So as an expert in commercial brokering, would it be wise to have this done or just put it right out to bid for sale?
Oh, I wouldn't sell it. I wouldn't sell it
Without this?
It's going to be worth.
You think it would be worth more with this in place? If we had this.
So if you go to sell it, I'll put it to you this way. If you go to sell it, you're selling a landlocked piece of dirt that has very little value, except for somebody that might want to cut timber down on it. So the value of it might be what they could harvest from a timber perspective. But with a little bit of research, a little bit of study, you could turn this into an unbelievable opportunity or asset for the city. And so selling it I don't think it'd be a great idea.
That's what I'm asking. What's the difference between selling now and selling it after the study? Well, you're saying that there's more value after the study to sell it?
Because you're giving somebody a roadmap. You're giving a developer a roadmap.
You give them a better vision. Somebody doesn't have the vision.
And well, you're giving them your vision and they have to develop within that vision. So you're not, getting somebody out of St. Louis just comes in and goes, well, this is what we want to do. You want somebody that's going to be symbiotic with the community. And if they know that they have the city council approval for this vision, then you remove a lot of the obstacles.
I was gonna say, so correct me if I'm wrong, but this is basically, we're creating a master plan, a roadmap, like you said, for these people. We voted the roadmap in and they have to go implement, essentially.
I'd like to be thinking about how much services there are and tax revenue and things like that. You sell it one time and you can sell it, right, and hope that somebody develops it, but they're gonna develop it with their vision. And I think having some of these other questions answered and having, let's just call it the city approval, stamp of approval, yes, it adds value to the property, considerable value, in my opinion.
So just to kind of get a good gist of this layman's term, 640 acres sold outright right now, keep numbers rounded, I know these aren't true, we can get maybe $20 million for it. But if we go through the process of developing, having somebody give us a vision, now when we sell, we're selling parcels of it, and maybe one of those parcels, it brings in 20 million, another one brings in more because the developer or whoever's looking at it goes, yes, that value is there. Is that what that's the advantage of?
The numbers are off, but
well, no, as I said, just,
yeah, I mean, the idea is that, yes, I mean, you want to sell it to someone that will develop it in a responsible way. And maybe as part of the RFP or part of a developer, 30% of it has to be common area, park space, things like that. But I think going through the study is a good use of funds to really see what you have. I mean, it might come out that, I don't know, it's, there's pocket gopher issues, there's development issues, there's different things that, need to be addressed. So determining the highest and best value of the property, I think is a prudent thing to do. And you do that through a study like this.
We did the gopher study already on that.
You have your own HCP or you roll up on the county?
We're in the process of finishing it.
So what you're doing is you're creating certainty, which for a developer is really, it gives them a bottom line. So they know that city council this is the plan that they're going to be in support of it. And really ultimately you guys are the permitting agency. And so it's the certainty that is.
Other questions?
We're getting our golf cart paths.
It's up to you.
This will also be in part of the discussion at our council retreat as well. Now that we're moving more and more forward, hopefully we can have something concrete for council prior to that regarding the RFP.
Yeah, if we can have a list of how to choose that, would be great.
All right, so if I'm talking out of turn here, but entrepreneur spirited in my own right. Looking at a piece of property, every developer is going to have a different mindset about it, right? You talk to a developer that wants to do apartment houses, they're going to see 1,000 apartment houses there, right? You talk to a developer that wants to do an airport potentially, they're going to see an airport there. So having a clear idea for somebody to advertise to, I think makes a huge benefit. So maybe you can attest to that? Real estate agents in the room?
Yeah, I think that's, exactly right.
Just so people are clear, it is zoned currently as a master plan community with different parcels for commercial. I don't know if there's much industrial, but government buildings, residential, different densities and all that. So it is zoned currently a certain way. Unless council wanted to change that.
One of the things that the study's really going to tell you is there demand for the plan? Is there demand for this? Because if there isn't, then it might be better off just, to sell it and let somebody develop it when the time comes, and the plan's probably going to be different. But I think that's one of the questions that would be answered.
Or I think to Evan's point is perhaps there's a whole bunch of commercial that's there, but there's no houses to support the commercial. So maybe when it made sense, when that master plan community was approved, that we had houses all around there. And so that that made the commercial, symbiotic. But you're not gonna, I'm not the real estate expert, but highly unlikely you're gonna have commercial develop first before residential. Because one follows the other in that logical step. So that'll be something else that we'll get feedback on.
Thank you. I just want to thank Evan for being here. It was great timing. We didn't plan this. We planned to have a meeting, but when he was here, I'm like, it'd be a great segue into this. We couldn't have planned it any better.
I had to ask you something.
Yeah, thank you, Evan.
We're gonna have expertise when you come to a conversation.
Thanks for having us.
All right, Cody, you're gonna tell us that that Prairie Line Trail is gonna be done real quick, right?
Yeah, so if you've actually been out, they paved starting yesterday, and they're supposed to finish by the end of the week. So it'll be paved completely, finished in the paving part. We just have signage to put up after that. That's the trail going out to the bridge.
It'll open for public use.
I would say open for public use by the end of the month. Just we want to make sure everything's good. We want to go through all our inspections, and then we'll do a ribbon cutting once the signage is up, because we have some signage that'll come in later, and some benches that'll come in later. And we'll have a ribbon cutting probably early spring. So I would shoot May. We've already got it guaranteed from Willie that Hanford will be there. Hanford McLeod will be there for ribbon cutting. And they are helping us with some of the signage. So it'll be really cool. Going on to this is the next phase. The reason I bring this up is because we got a grant for this, and this will be coming to council very soon. So this is called Prairie Line Trail Phase 2B, to the bridge and beyond. That's the default. See, okay. So as you can see, the green is currently in development. That's what we're building right now. We drove it yesterday almost to the bridge and it's beautiful and the paving is amazing. It looks awesome. We're going to do a couple of modifications as we're going, put some stub outs and some turnarounds. So that way, if there is a need for an emergency vehicle, they're not stuck backing up the entire way. So we have a couple of turnarounds built in there. You'll see when you actually go walk it. And there is that cool little viewpoint, which is awesome. But this is 2B, which is the bridge. So the idea, we got the grant money and I'll show you a slide next that shows you that. This bridge will connect us to Pierce County. This will be the only walking point of connection between Thurston and Pierce. So the idea is the STP, hikers, walkers, equestrians can all use this as a safe way to transit from Thurston to Pierce County versus trying to go, if you ever driven the bike on 507, or hit a person driving a bike on 507, that is a very unsafe place. And if you ever tried to hitchhike on the freeway or walk across the freeway to get across, it doesn't really work. So this is our one point of transit that we can do to make pedestrians safe, which is huge. So we went to RCO, got funding for it, 1.615 million for the 24-25 year. We put out an RFQ, which is different than an RFP. An RFQ requests qualification, so it doesn't go based off price. One thing you can't do for engineering is you can't go with the lowest bidder, or you could have anyone, I could, hey, I'm going to bid on that, and I could not have no idea what I'm doing, right? So the RFQ, we take qualifications in, we look at all their qualifications, similar projects, things they've done, and then we take the best qualified to do the project to build the bridge, or to do this in this case. So we went through the RFQ process, and we have selected a consultant, SCJ Alliance, to do the bridge programming. And they actually helped with some of the they helped with the trail up to where we are. And they have Sargent Engineering for the bridge aspect. And Sargent Engineering has done a lot of bridges and refurbishment of bridges. So we're really excited about that. The reason I'm bringing this up again is there will be a contract for you guys at the end of this month for the engineering part of it. This is grant funded. We have a small match, but we budgeted that match for this. So that contract will come for you guys. And our plan is engineering will take probably 6 months-ish. It sounds weird because the bridge is already there, but we have to make it pedestrian safe. So there's some upgrades we have to do. The biggest thing is going to be lead abatement. And that means the bridge has lead paint on it from 1900 whatever. It's been a long time. It's got some stuff on there that we need to protect the river from. So we'll wrap that bridge in some different materials. And that'll be the hardest part of this project, is making sure nothing falls into the river or the bank. So that'll be the hardest part of engineering it, along with doing the actual work. So we'll start construction after engineering's done and we get that in place. And then the last one, I have some pictures of what it looks like. So I journeyed out there last summer. And just like I did when I was a kid, I did not jump off. So this is the trestle that'll be retrofitted. So these rails will come up. There'll be some planks set down, because these are actually gaps in between here. You can, I don't know if you've been out there, they're pretty big gaps you can fall through if you're a small person. And this is the view. Back up one, sorry. This is the viewpoint if you look right through here. So I walked up and looked through that left to see the view. The other direction is just as beautiful. It's going to be a great point to have a outlook. We're going to do some other fun things with it. We're going to put equestrian ability on this, so there will be a wider trail through here, wide enough to have horses go across it, and people and bikes at the same time, which we're excited about. So it'll give a good link. After this phase, if you look down here, this is the Pierce County. So once we get here, this will go about 10 feet into Pierce County, and then the next phase will be getting this all the way, and it'll be up to Pierce County from that point on to connect the road. But we can at least get you to Roy, and you can, if worse, get off at Roy.
That distance for the trail looks like it's way shorter than 507 from.
Oh, it is, yeah.
You're talking like, how many miles shorter are we looking?
Yeah, so this length here we're putting in right now is about 1.5 miles. So the trail they're paving right now is about 1.5 miles. And then we have just over 2 miles of trail to where our land ends.
So on bike, you're cutting some time.
Yeah, the STP people will probably cut off 10 minutes off their STP ride to Portland. So, and it's a million times safer.
Right.
The only thing you have to worry about is bears every now and then, right? I don't even know that story. I just, you won't, the only thing you have to worry about is other pedestrians or bikers on there. That's what's going to be so great about it.
Yeah, I think that's gonna be really good for the Roy Rodeo time too. You can really get it.
Yeah, I mean, you could literally walk to, when this is done, to the Roy Rodeo. You could walk from Yelm to Roy.
Or ride your horse.
Or ride your horse. Yeah. So we are really, it's just a very exciting project, and the grant money's there. We have a contract coming in.
5 shuts down.
If I should, so.
Through it and drive.
Get out of your car, walk.
So we are gonna get a rating on this, so there is, not that it would ever happen, but say everything goes south and like the McKenna Bridge is pretty shallow, like in terms of how high off the water it is. The I-5 bridges, this would be able to support some emergency vehicle traffic. So like an ambulance, I don't think a fire truck would be able to, but like an ambulance, a small vehicle, police car, if we had to do some kind of emergency movement, we could use this, or even, I mean, it's cool to have another outlet because it's so high up. This, we're talking, this is 100+ feet up, it feels like, when you're on top. This will not get wiped out by a, very much.
So in the future, if the state never gives us another road bridge, we could take it over as a road bridge.
Yeah, it's not that strong. I wouldn't put like multiple cars on it, but a single car driving across, it'll probably be okay. We'll have a rating on that, so we'll know exactly how much weight it can. It's exciting. Any questions about this and path moving forward? Okay, you'll be seeing this in, like I said, at the end of this month.
Thanks, Cody. All right, boards and commission discussion. City Council, let's ask. I'll kick this off.
Passing these down. These are the, yep, these are the requirements for different commissions that we have. Just want to. Oh, yeah, let's take it back in.
Pass it around.
Sorry.
Okay, so we're talking about boards, commissions, and specifically the selection process, because there's been some issues with their current way we do things, and we want to talk about how that goes. And so I'll kick us off here because I've been debating about this for the longest, I think. As for me, so first of all, I was reading through a protocol manual last night, and I was in a hotel, so I had nothing better to do but read through some of this nighttime meeting. It's fun. And so it says on page 12, it says boards and commissions and city committees, citizen committees provide a great deal of assistance to the Yelm City Council when formulating public policy, transforming policy decisions into action. So the point of these boards and commissions, and the way I always understood it, and the manual backs it up, is that these committees advise city council on different subjects and items and things. And so for me personally, I'm not a yes man, and I know there's several people that don't agree with me on a lot of issues, but one of the things they voted with me was because I'm not a yes man. So this blindly accepting people to things that I've never even seen face to face or met or, just know a name, I can never say yes to. I have to at least have some conversation. So that's why I've always been opposed to it. And then recently some other council members have raised a concern about it. And so I read through the manual and some of these other aspects, and then I thought I had a plan set forth to relay. And then I found out our protocol manual and the Yelm Municipal Code has a lot of things that aren't congruent. There's a lot of fragmentation in there. So it's kind of hard to make it clear, hey, let's do it this way, because it clearly already states it like this. So number one, there's a lot of things I think we have to go through this, and that's part of my initiative today was we needed to spend some time to go through our protocol manual and clean it up so we can have some clarity on some things.
It's on the agenda for the council retreat to discuss.
Okay, good. Cool. So on that, but the thing that really struck out to me was in the manual, it says like on pages 13 and 14. So if you guys want to look at it later, because you don't have your handbooks with you.
I read it.
It says mayor and or council. So we have the ability to make all these selections as the council together, or, or mayor, and because it says mayor and or according to our protocol manual. And so that's what I was going off of. And I thought that was a great idea. The council prior, you guys, Tracy's not here, put that together. I thought that was really good wording, and I think that's the way it should be, that we should do it together as a team, make these selections, because they do advise the council. So shouldn't the council have a better say of who's on those committees, rather than just a name and yes or no, but actually have more involvement in that process? Thoughts, comments? I'm not the only one about that.
So you're saying, when you said that, it says and or both,
Mayor and or council.
but then how do you decide if like this one, you're just gonna say mayor and this one you're gonna say and council or this, you know what I mean? Does it need to be one?
Well, I'd say that's something we should
Yeah.
figure out, like, okay, these committees should be and or, should be both, these ones should just be mayor.
That's what I would say.
Because some of these, I think, could just be mayor appointee and good to go. And some of these, I think it would be important for the council to have
I would agree.
a little more say in on these boards.
Like which ones, John?
Which ones would I?
What do we want to have a say in? All these RCWs or these codes, they all say appointed by the mayor, approved by the council, but that's all appointments by the mayor. That's what I'm seeing here.
I would say all the important ones, because, well, that's the confusion was, because like the planning commission, for instance, it says in the protocol manual, it's commission, it's both, and then in, you see in the code, it says mayor, and because in the book, it says there's three things, there's planning, police, and one other one. Historic preservation.
Oh.
And the rest are mayor appointments. But yet you look later and it says different. So there's some confusion there. Right?
When when this was coming up and my thought process on this is, and I'll use the planning commission as the example. It's just like we go about with the choosing of police chief or something. There's somebody from the council sitting with the mayor going through the interview process, if I'm correct. And so like the planning commission, they're the ones that are the step right before our approval of what's going to be done. So that's one that I think that we should have some kind of involvement with, because that is something that's going to affect our codes, affect the zoning, affect development. And so we as a council, we're it's to have that there. One that the mayor can appoint flat out is the example I would give is the Arts Commission. We give a budget to them. The mayor, why are we choosing? They're gonna choose what to do with the budget that we give them. And it's whatever the mayor at that time, that's one of those things that we don't necessarily need to be involved in the picking of. And one of the things I'd like to see us come out of this is not only which ones that we're involved with the interview process, but which ones are the mayor says, here's who I'm appointing. This is it. So if there's any issues, we can bring it up, but we don't necessarily have to say we confirm. And there are some that he brings up, we confirm, and then there's the ones that we were involved with the pickle to confirm as a council as a whole. 3 different categories. And I think that kind of will help out our process.
Yeah.
I was thinking as well too, even if there is a way that council would select, the thing I like about this council is everybody is very free to make their own decision, and I don't think they're influenced by other city council members that are on here. So as you can see, the way we voted in the past few meetings, we've been split either way, which is great, because that means you have your own mind and you're not being persuaded by the person sitting next to you. As we would probably select people, and whether that be through the mayor or city council, we really just need to be mindful of, having a non-biased selection, and not just, because what the first thing anybody's going to say is, oh, they're just picking their friends and putting it on there. And we understand that that's not what we're supposed to be doing. And even the mayor knows that as he makes appointments is, you're not supposed to just get your buddies over here and line it up that way. And so we just got to keep that in mind. Really think about having a non-bias that way. At the same time too, if the mayor was to go ahead and have appointments, to, have a conversation with the individuals that were selected for that. So then even if he did just appoint them, we'd have to confirm. And in that confirmation, if we did not agree with the appointment of the mayor, we would be free to say yay or nay. And that would give us, again, we would have the foresight of actually seeing the selection, interviewing the people, and not just like, here's this person I've never met you before, don't know who you are. No. You know what I mean? And so along that process, I think that would be a fair way for checks and balances, especially if the mayor was to appoint, and then we would make sure that we had some involvement in that interview process to know the appointment, and then bring it before the council to very much so confirm either that be a yea or nay. So that way, again, there's checks and balances.
Have we ever done that, say for the planning commission? Has the council ever chosen somebody for the planning commission?
No, per our CW, it is the mayor's appointment with confirmation. It's,
Right, so it's all new territory. It's never been done.
I think what I would like to see, I mean, obviously we got these ones that are RCW specific. So your planning commission, civil service commission, lodging tax advisory, salary commission. So that's very clearly mayor appointed, council approved. But I think especially for those four, we could at least have a council member or two sit in on the interviews, be able to, advise the council, say what they think. But then you have council make input in the interview process with those four specifically. And then since we have to confirm those ones, but the rest of them, I'm okay. I trust the mayor to appoint his own people in the rest of those, because that's not an RCW specific committee. And
Exactly what I just wrote. You and I are like on the same wavelength.
Well, so I see you and now, but it says confirmed by council board, but then is there a regulation of how that confirmation could go?
by a vote.
By a vote, just a vote,
For
no vote.
council.
No, like, can we have at the confirmation, have an interview process?
Is Brent still?
Yeah.
The RTW does not spell out a process. It just comes to you for a vote for confirmation.
Brent, do you want to kind of talk about or answer some questions?
Because, like, you see, like, head of ATF goes, president appoints and the Senate confirms, but then the confirmation, I have a whole process where they interview and question and this and that, and they approve yea or nay, and the next guy comes up and all the different departments. Do we have that same leeway?
No. So mayor appoints, and then you guys.
You say yes or no based on,
Nothing.
Jimmy Dean is here for, I say, like Jimmy sausage. You like his sausage, yes or no? You never had it before, but you like it or you don't?
Right, that's what it
boils down to.
That's what it boils down to.
I think
So what happens if we keep saying no?
Then the position never gets filled unless,
I change it.
change the appointment.
But so understanding that and okay.
No, go ahead. Sorry, I'm sorry. I'm talking about my bad.
So to appease the council a little bit, because does this ever happen where, have you seen a council like go through this process?
This is the first time I've seen this much discourse in appointing commission members.
So I want to get these people picked. We already have more resignations on the planning commission since council chose not to approve in December. We can now not hold planning commission meetings because there's not a quorum. We only have 3 members on the planning commission at this point. So we are holding up work that needs to get done. This month, we've canceled that meeting. Next month, I would like to have my appointments approved. And if I'm willing to work with council members and to make sure that my selections are appropriate for them. If council doesn't want to approve, I'm probably not going to put them up. So that being said, I want to try my best to get council to approve them. And that includes one-on-ones. It includes more information on those candidates. I'm happy to do that, but I like to get to a point where we can get back to business.
Why don't you tell the council why you appointed the people that you appointed for the people that think that they don't want to approve that person.
Or you want to have it, because I think like when we appoint somebody to fill a role on here, we have an interview process. They come in here and we interview them. It's not just appointing, like we actually get to talk to them and see them.
Sure.
And have at least a face-to-face with who we're talking to. It's very hard to say yes to somebody I've never seen their face.
It's very hard to get.
I don't understand why I have to say yes to that. Like, okay, either just take care of it. Why do I have to say yes if it's like just a mandatory thing?
That's the hard.
That's a hard
It's
part for me.
confirmation. It's like, if he wants to appoint him, do it. I don't care. But then you're asking me to say they're all okay when I knew nothing about any. That's just the part that's hard.
And they're all volunteers. They're like, unlike the council, they don't get paid. I mean, I understand council doesn't get paid a lot, but these are true volunteers, and it's difficult to get these volunteers to apply, to stay on the commission. And they're advisory. They're just, not just, but they are. They don't make decisions without the council approval. They're advisors to council. So they're the experts on, the homelessness committee, the planning commission, the police advisory committee, the arts commission. They're at the very least, they're passionate about those issues. And so they're going to give recommendations. And council hasn't always they said, no, that's not what we're going to be doing here in Yelm, but thank you for that recommendation. And then we move on. If there is certain ones that people have issues with, individuals that are my appointments, I would love to have like a one-on-one conversation with you and see, what the big issue is. And if it is an issue that it's like, wow, I didn't think of that perspective before. Yeah, let's maybe another candidate would be better. And then I could vet another candidate with you. But I'm not trying to run them through what we do for council members. It's bad enough for council, I think, going through that process. And some of you have gone through that appointment process. It is grueling. I don't want to do that to the volunteers who's, some 70-year-old lady trying to be on the arts commission, or whatever. I'm just making that example up. It's really difficult to get them on in the first place. I think this process can be intimidating for some of those. But like I said, I'm willing to work with you. If there's someone that you really just don't want, let me know, and then we can have that conversation and we can try to figure out.
Yeah, and then that brings to point, the hard part is they're supposed to advise council. So if they can't come before council to speak, to say why they should be on there, I'm like, okay, well, it's not like it's a grueling task. Like, hey, I just want to see you. Like, you're supposed to advise us.
Sure.
Well, come advise us. Let's
Sure, but nobody asked for that though. Why are we the only ones asking for it?
Asking for what?
For what you're saying, like that.
Because they're here to advise us, we should see them. They should be visible because they're advisory.
Just advise us through their recommendations.
But we got to stay,
That they don't accept.
so we're saying, again, the situation is appointment and confirmation. And what I'm hearing is that people are saying, well, why should I confirm if we don't have any power in the appointment? But is that not because it feels like if he's just going to appoint, then why should I confirm anything? But I think we don't want to surrender that confirmation because that really is the last safeguard of what the appointment might be. And so that's what I'm saying is because I've heard a couple times we say, well, if the mayor's going to appoint, then why ask us to confirm anyways? But the thing is, we need to not take that lightly because that is checks and balances. Even if we don't, but again, we would like to know the appointment, but we have to hold tight to this confirmation because it's important because that is the last safeguard beyond that person getting that appointment because we could very well say nay. And then we've already seen the mayor, we put our mayor in a position to go ahead and compromise to talk to us like, well, if that's how you feel, then let's talk about this and because we need to get things moving because it sounds like we're falling behind schedule with other things. So the thing is, what we're doing now is good because we're seeing some tension that is working both ways, and we're trying to not hold up process, but we're trying to make sure that things are done correctly, and that's behind everything, and that's just. So, but I want to make sure. We can't surrender the whole confirmation thing. We can't just say, well, just forget my confirmation, just appoint. Then we've lost checks and balances. We got to keep that.
Right. If I can make a suggestion that might from hearing those that really want to be involved in the interview process, things like that, would it have been helpful if, when the mayor presented Mr. Smith to fill a particular position, that it wasn't just a name, but it was a short biography saying this is their experience, this is something that I see, and with that, would that help? Because if that will help, then maybe that's all we need. We don't need to be part of the interview. We don't need to be, and we just ask them.
Information, yeah. I don't know Jimmy.
Say who it is.
I may not know Jimmy.
But one of the things I heard when prior to coming to this, when we were looking at his appointments, it was, well, how do we know that you picked the best person? Because we see everybody. If we, I'm trying to get it so that we can have something, because, as was brought up, there were, so many people applied for a particular position, and why'd you choose this person instead of somebody else here? If we go with the biography portion, we don't even get to see that. We don't get to see who applied or anything else like that. It's the mayor chose, and he's from his staff. We get the biography so we can read it and go, okay, yes, I agree with this, or I don't.
And I'd be happy to do that. If council wants a bio on them, some of the top reasons that I chose those individuals, I'd be happy to do that for every appointment, if that's what council wants.
I think that would be good, and we don't need to see who all applied. I mean, that can be something that if it needs to be, and this is where Kathy can let us know, if that needs to be for public records of something, then it's in public records and we can go for that. But when it comes before us, it's not, here's who I chose and here's who all applied. It's here's who I chose.
And there's the checks and balances, because it's just like, okay.
And I think that I think will alleviate a lot of the problems. I think part of the problem is that because people saw who all applied, it then became okay, well, I'm curious on why you chose this person, vice this one, or this one. And I think that throws that wrench into the process.
So for me, it's just not knowing them at all.
Right, in the beginning.
And you're just supposed to say, yeah, Jimmy Dean. I was supposed to say yes to Jimmy Dean. I'm like, well, I don't know Jimmy Dean. How do I know that's a good choice or not?
Yeah.
I feel the weight of making that choice when I don't know somebody. I just can't in my being to say yes to somebody I have zero knowledge of. It's just Jimmy Dean is applying for this position. You have to say yes to it. It doesn't say, well, if you had some information, okay, then I might be more inclined to say yes. Okay, Jimmy Dean is been in Yelm for 20 years. He served on this and this commission. He has this experience. He knows this. Okay, that might be inclined to say, okay, Jimmy Dean sounds good. Mayor thinks he's good. Okay, yeah.
So I think what Josh is saying too, and I think that's how council feels, is we take our yea or nays very seriously. And we go to bed at night wondering, did I make the right decision? And so we want to make sure that if something is presented for us, no matter whether it be an appointment or a decision on something that we have to, we take our yeas and nays very seriously. And so I guess in this situation, the yeas or nays, it's like, well, I didn't really get much input in that and I have to vote yes or no. I don't know what to do. And that's where it's coming from, is the reason behind it. And so that's what I'm hearing as well, is I go home and I'm like, man, I hope I did the right thing. I hope I did the right thing.
I'm fine with what council has proposed so far. I'd be happy to do that if that moves us in the right direction here. Is there any other concern changes?
Just before we get to there, just want to make sure with the city attorney, if asking for the bio, is that being out of line?
No, because there's other cities that do that.
Okay, then I just want to make sure
that you're to Commissioner Councilman Crossman's point, that you're just not blindly taking a name that got
that answers that question.
Got their application and some bullet
Give us all of info you can. I'd be appreciative. From the gallery.
Just during the discussion, I do want to thank you and the entire council and the mayor for your dedication to the legislative process. It's nerding out at the tension between the executive and the legislative, because the people put their trust in you, which is why you're here, and they put their trust in Mr. Mayor because they voted him in as well. So. There's people who have to speak. But I appreciate it. Please don't give that up. Thank you.
We have consensus, I think.
Yes.
More info.
I will, can we tee that up for next meeting?
Good enough, Beth.
Okay. We will
We're
try,
not making changes coming up.
we can discuss it further if council wants at our council retreat that's coming up, what, 90 days or so? Less than that.
I was gonna say, to answer Ms. Lindmeier's question, I think the only addition is that there's a biography, that there's just one additional process is staying the same. Am I incorrect on that? That if we get that biography, we can keep
The
everything.
application and the bio. Yep.
Well, no, just the bio.
All of it, yeah, as much info as possible.
I think an application and bio makes sense.
As much info as I can make a legal decision as we can get.
All right, we'll try to tee that up for next meeting. All right, so would you consider approving at that same meeting, or would you want 2 meetings for that?
If we get us info right away,
Don't we already have it?
You have their application.
Yeah. we already-
But there's gonna be more appointments.
Oh,
there'll be more, yeah.
Billy will keep us on the straight and narrow.
Yeah. We'll get that teed up then.
Okay, and then,
Council.
you said we'll talk about a retreat, so we can.
Yeah, I won't.
Things about that can go, wait till then.
Yeah, I won't put anything on the back burner on it. But we will, it'll be added to the agenda, which goes into kind of mine.
Are you allowed to just give us your reasons why you chose the people like these?
I think council.
Second.
Transparency. Thanks, Brett. I think for transparency.
Transparency.
Probably the best way to do that.
We appreciate that.
You could do it.
Not prepared to do that. Yeah.
No, moving on.
Good business.
Moving on, Mr. Mayor, would you have something for us?
Yeah, so part of this is part of my report is getting feedback for the agenda. I just asked or talked about a couple of big items, the 640 acres council, mayor handbook, updating that. I think there's a lot of inaccuracies in that handbook, and one of the reasons I voted against it when I was on council. I think that council has an opportunity to kind of make it more efficient, take out some of the duplicates, make it conform to RCW. And yeah, and put in other thoughts and, what council wants to do into there. But besides that, I think vision planning for this meeting as well is kind of what the EDC was talking about. It's going to be a part of it as well. There's a couple other items I want to discuss, but I want to hear ideas, and you don't have to say it right now, but if you just want to email me some of what's important to you, we'll put it on the agenda and we'll discuss it.
For the retreat.
Correct. Yep. And Kathy is going to be sending in the next couple of weeks more information about more of the logistics of it. Excuse me, including like reimbursement stuff for travel and whatnot like that. So anything else, Kathy, on council retreat?
Okay.
Okay. Other than that, I think that's all I've got for right now.
I think you covered everything that I want to talk about, do we treat on that, so. Sounds good, yeah, because after reading through this last night, I'm like, this is really fragmented.
Read the whole thing?
I didn't read the MSR part of it, but I got through most of it. When you sit in a hotel room by yourself, what else you got
I'd like
to
a
do?
council member picture book. If we can get that, I'd love that.
Oh, and we could probably do that. If you also notice, I might have.
I was gonna ask about that.
Yeah, so we put up thank you, Lynn and Kathy, for all your time and dedication to get those out. These are all the mayors of Yelm since our very first one, Patterson, to myself. And then we'll just keep adding it as years go by. Till we run out of wall space, 100 years later.
Yeah.
All right, council member initiatives.
640.
who has something to discuss tonight? We don't have to go in order because we're not a formal meeting. This is a workshop. So that's how I'm going to roll with it. I've already covered mine, so.
So, and it kind of ties off of going over the protocol manual, and so discussing the various committees that we have. I think it would be a good idea to bring back the general government committee to go through that protocol manual and any other sort of problems that we run into. So I would like to see that committee come back and maybe go through some of our other committees. For instance, the homeless committee, I do believe based on their intended purpose, which was a homeless committee, it's created and established to identify areas in which the city may use its resources to coordinate support services for the homeless population. I believe that criteria has been met, and what we run into now is more of a, for lack of a better word, vagrancy issue, a mental health issue, addiction issue. I don't know that that's necessarily a homeless issue, and I don't think that this committee is serving its intended purpose anymore. They seemed a little lost in the meeting that I attended. So I would like to review some of our committees and which ones to keep and which ones to change or get rid of.
Okay. Is this something we can discuss at the council retreat?
I'd be fine with that.
An initiative that I'm going to try to see if we can get before spring hits us is going to try to see what we can do to initiate. Washington State has a food is free program. The one that I followed during the pandemic, Tacoma Food is Free program, really a really good program. I think it really helps with the food deserts that we have. How it works is there's no money from the cities or anything else like that. It's completely volunteer. And it's the best example I can give is if somebody happens to grow tomatoes and they all of a sudden have more tomatoes than what they can use, there's with this food is free concept, there are people who have volunteered to allow on their property a table or something, and they bring the tomatoes there and they place them in there. And then the gist of what's written there is take what you need, leave what you can't. Another good example would be zucchini. I mean, I don't know if anybody's ever grown zucchini, but your neighbors, once they see you walking outside your door with your bunch of zucchinis, all of a sudden doors, shutters, everything goes. But this is something, and I think it'd be really good for Yelm to, for all the gardening that we have here, it'd be a really nice thing to do. And when you coordinate with the Washington State one, it gets really interesting because they find people like somebody who has an apple orchard. They've gone through, they've picked, but there's still apples on the trees because the ones that were picked. And now volunteers go out, they pick, and they bring them back to their various communities and put them out there. And so I think that'd be something really helpful for our community. And I'm going to see if I can get some interest from some of our organizations in the community, as well as maybe a resident that will want to take that and kind of help guide and make that happen. But I think that's something really that we could do.
The perfect place would be at the community garden where people already come to learn about gardening, and you got to do a food exchange right here in the park.
Right. No, as I said, it's something that we could do, and I think it'd be really good for us as a food desert in our area.
Seeing, neighborhoods do that. No, actually want to discuss. I want to real quick back to Trevor, just so we're clear. So we're going to talk at the retreat about bringing back the general government committee and then talking about all the committees and which ones we want to keep. Right.
At the retreat, or unless the council wanted to do it sooner, but I'm fine with the retreat.
I'm fine with the retreat. Okay. I'll make sure I was clear on that. Thank you.
I was just going to say, I would volunteer for the 640 committee if you'll have me.
Noted. Oh, you have me. That's it.
You might say no, probably you'll say no.
Yeah, I got nothing.
Yeah, do committee already.
Holly, do you have anything for us tonight?
I do have something after Holly speaks, but.
Okay. I'm moving. What?
Like out of town or out of state?
I'm not going to cry. I'm moving out of state. So February 14th will be my last day as a council member, so I will be at the February 13th. This was not an easy decision, but it's life changes and I have a good opportunity to move and be closer to my daughter and yeah, that's all I can say right now.
Let me be the first to congratulate you on your new endeavors and
Yeah, thank you.
your service for this community. You've done a great job over the years. Thank you. Well, if there's anyone else that wants to say anything.
Well, I mean, I'll be here on the 13th, so don't.
Let's save it for the, okay.
No, it's really been, it was not an easy decision and it's, anyway.
That being said,
Yes.
we need to see a process, if you want it for, replacing, Councilmember Smith. We can go to the, and I would recommend that we continue the process we have in the past. We still have that software, regarding the ranked choice voting.
I don't like to rank choice voting. I was up or down.
I like it a lot.
The only reason
It's just,
we'll say the ranked choice is because if it's the up or down, it's whoever makes the motion first, that candidate chosen, and all other candidates don't get it. So
I would,
whoever gets their hand up first to make the motion.
But you got a blank on ranked choice.
I would suggest having a voting system like everything else, just like the way people are voted in. You have 1, 2, 3. If there's, you take the top 2, then you take the top 1. Up or down.
Well, that's what the ranked choice does.
Ordinary voting is good.
No.
Don't you think?
Ordinary voting,
Voting.
yes.
So under that, it would, unless there's certain rules and council can place them on there. But if we revert back to the way we used to do it, Councilmember Hess would be corrected. First person that raised their hand and recognized would have that motion. For one candidate.
That's the way it has to be. We can't just say vote.
I said, or if council wants to make their own guidelines, they can do that as well.
We make on guidance. Yeah, that's what I say. We make on guidance. We just vote like we do vote for anything else in this world.
Which is the same as the ranked choice. Is what you're saying.
The same.
No.
No, if you're saying, my understanding what you're saying is that if there are 5 candidates, we all vote and.
I'm saying if there's a tie, then you between the 2, but if there's a clear winner, you have a clear winner.
So you say vote on everybody? If there's 5 people, you do an up and down vote for all 5?
But that's the same as the ranked choice.
No, this the same way the voting.
Just write down like somebody's name, like if there's 3
Yeah.
candidates, they would just write down Bob.
Let's say you have 3 candidates, we all vote. If there's a majority, then
Yeah,
Which is the ranked choice,
No.
correct? No, it is.
No, it is. No, it isn't. It's different. No.
No, it is because.
Hold on, one at a time.
Because
if it is, then you don't disagree with me, and then you will agree with my way of voting.
it's ranked choice is what you're saying is that it goes through, but instead of you having to choose who you're, if you want to just go ahead and put 1 down instead of 3 choices, then you just put 1 down. And the way the program works is it goes, okay, boom, 5 people chose this one person.
But I'm saying, if you're saying it's the same, then you would vote my way, and then we're all good.
Well, but it's
So
ranked
you
choice.
vote the way that I would want to do it, and we're all good, because you said it's the same.
Right,
But if it's different,
Hold on, one at a time.
If you don't want to put any more down below 1, you don't have to. You don't have to fill out.
That affects our system though, doesn't it?
No, it doesn't.
it does.
That the system we use, if you don't put a number on a name and fill up your
It's
docket,
different.
it affects our system,
Yes, it does, Brian.
our system that we use.
The ranked choice.
That's why I said last time you left one out, it wasn't fair.
Yeah. If you let people out, you can vote for all, so it changed how things go.
Change the outcome.
I will agree with that. It does change out the outcome. And if council were to do it, ranked choice voting again, I would suggest that you are required to do 5 or whatever the council wants to decide. Put up 5 names on it. But if you don't want to do ranked choice voting, that's your call too. It seems kind of split right now. And just to say, if there,
We got 3 that says no, 2 that says yes, and 2 that are abstained.
well, Molly's not gonna.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, 3, 2, and 2 abstained, so.
So
If I was here, I would want to do that. Just everybody write down who and count them up and see who won. if it.
Because it may just be like, hey, they got 7 votes.
Whatever you do, you cannot do a secret ballot vote. You have to publicly vote. You can't do a secret ballot. So it has to be an open vote and you have to be clear
Names then.
about who you're voting for. Yeah, a verbal vote would be good, same thing, but you have to make sure that it has to be an open.
And if there is a tie, I would break that tie. Whereas in ranked choice voting, that a tie virtually doesn't ever occur.
Right, very seldom.
You agree with that?
So I'm not hearing.
I don't want to wait either. You know, and sometimes like, I don't want to drag this out for 3 months, you know, because we have 3 months to go.
Sure. How about we discuss at the next meeting? Is that, can we do?
Advertise it, start getting applications?
Well, no, the process, just the process alone. But yeah.
Decide what you want to do, we'll do it.
Yeah.
I'm good with majority.
In reference to the process, that if it's going to be, we go and whatever the majority is, here is worst case scenario of said thing. There are 6 people apply. Okay, 6 people apply because we have 7 here, but 6 people apply. Councilmember 1 chooses person 1. Councilmember 2 chooses person 2. Councilmember 3 chooses person 3. And then all of a sudden, And then all of a sudden everybody has 1 except for 1 individual has 2. Simple majority. Is that what you want to end up with? Because that's not a concession. That's not us working together on trying to bring in somebody. That is.
I would say we have a primary, a modified primary, basically. You narrow it down to 2, and then out of those 2.
You have to have a majority vote of the council. Yeah.
And so 2 is.
And narrow it down to 2, and then out of those 2.
I mean, you could go through the rank, like how you did the ranked choice, but like regardless.
That's
at the end of the day,
not a choice.
right, but at the end of the day, however you decide to do it, you have to have a majority of the council. So if there's 6 people on the council at the time of the vote, you have to have a majority.
Yeah, I feel like ranked choice covers the fairness and the moral.
To be a majority.
No, but you can.
Or if it was a tie, the mayor would break the tie.
Director Cole, you were here before the ranked choice voting, weren't you? How did that work?
So was I.
It was often, just from my recollection, and Councilmember or Mayor Pino, who's council every time, would also say is that it would be we'd have 5 people, and someone would go, I nominate Bob. And then they go, yes, no, yes, no. And if you got 4 votes, he wins. If you got 3 votes, they go, okay, it's tied, mayor breaks. Or if you got 2 votes, they go, okay, not Bob, you're gone. I nominate Gerald. Boo, boo, boo. And every time I was here, the mayor broke the tie. Every single time I was here, the mayor, yes.
When
I only voted on 2. It was the
I
mayor.
got appointed, they were saying names.
Yeah.
4 people said my name.
What?
Yeah, it was named because I remember because I think you were the last one. It was EJ. And then you kind of hesitated, but you said my name and that was 4. It was actually, they were saying names, not numbers. They weren't doing but that was in what, I don't remember, 21.
As I say, my experience with the whole thing is whoever got their hand up first was the one, and that's the way it worked. And
that's how we got Mayor Pro Tem.
I've seen councils do that where they've had multiple people and they vote and somebody's hand goes up and yes, there's a motion, there's a second, and there's a vote and it doesn't get a majority. And then somebody else will say, make a motion for a different person and then they vote. If it's a majority, they are the person elected, to fill the seat. If it's not a majority, then another person would make a motion again. And I've seen multiple motions for the process.
This is why I think ranked choice disarms that.
To Brian's point, when Tracy nominated me, I didn't even get it. I got blown off because somebody didn't put their hand up fast enough. That's really not fair either.
And, I could choose whoever. I don't have to wait for the first one to raise. If I see multiple hands raised, that's my decision as chair to call on that person or recognize whoever.
But as I said, I think
I don't have to go to
choice, and you can't, if you're saying you can game ranked choice, no, you can't.
You can, that's why there's such opposition to it.
No,
You end up with everybody's 3rd option instead of.
no, if you're saying that you can game it, that means it's people have worked together to say, okay, and this is who we're going to vote for, and the decision was already made before even the vote.
It sounds like it's pretty split. I mean, we can say whatever, but I'm gonna put it up to a vote, or tee it up for a vote for the process.
So if you do the ranked choice voting, and I believe we did this last time, you do the ranked choice voting as a process, but there still has to be a motion, a second, and an official vote of the council to put that person in the seat. So if you want to do the ranked choice voting, you can do the ranked choice voting, but you still have to make a motion, a vote, and a second, because that is how you make decisions as a group. So there still has to be a majority vote.
But if council
Can't bypass that process.
Correct. But if council decides votes on it to do this process, aren't they bound to honor that vote, that process? I mean, that's a correct question.
I think we still, I'll double check the legalities of it, send it to everyone, but we still need.
The results were the results because we bound ourselves to that system. I don't remember us voting after the results came out to say yea or nay on
We
the.
didn't vote afterwards. It was the results.
It was the results for the results.
This vote, yes or no?
Does he remember?
Ellen,
He nominated someone. Which probably didn't pass.
We didn't confirm
we
after
didn't
the
do a
results.
second vote. Yeah.
After the computer said you win.
Right.
Yeah.
We didn't confirm the appointment.
I don't think.
Yeah, I don't recall a second vote.
We'll double check on that, Josh. I'm not sure that.
We appreciate you checking it
I
out.
recall the confirmation. I thought we just voted on the process and the results were what the results were.
Yeah.
But each candidate in that ranked choice voting has to get a point ranking.
No, someone's else nominated.
Yeah.
We can't leave it blank.
Right. No, that's key.
That's messing with
Key.
this.
It worked okay last time because there was only one round of voting. If you had an issue where you went into the second and third rounds, not voting for everyone would affect the outcome of ranked choice voting. That's why it's key to rank every candidate.
That's what you would call gaming the system.
Yes, so you have to rank everyone, or if you do get down to second, third, fourth rounds, which you could go to 5 rounds before you have a clear winner.
Right.
That's why you have to rank all the way down. Got it. It didn't affect us last time because the first round, we had a clear
As
winner.
long as everybody follows the rules, I'm okay with ranked choice.
And we will make sure everyone does follow the rules that council sets.
But we just want to vote up and down, right? Because that's why I hear the majority of council saying that's here present this evening.
They gotta be present. If they're not here,
That's what I said. That's the president sitting. I don't know what Tracy thinks. Maybe Tracy loves ranked voting. I don't know.
No, he doesn't.
you don't have to say it since he's not
He's
here.
not here. He doesn't get a say.
So I'm just gonna put it on the agenda for next week's meeting. We'll give you 2 options. Council can decide whether or not they want to do ranked choice.
But the notice will go out this week or for applications
Yeah.
to apply.
We have an official resignation. We can start.
I said it yesterday.
Okay.
And I'm
And
probably.
then when will that vote occur?
What's that?
When will that vote occur?
We will put it up for the next meeting for, to discuss the process. After the process, if council, I mean, it's up to council. They have up to 3 months, isn't it?
How long?
How long do you want to advertise?
It's up to you, council.
So you say the first, the second, I would say the second meeting in March, we could vote. The first meeting in March, we can have the applicants come in, interview, do the question thing. Because that'll give us a few weeks to advertise it.
That's what council wants.
Can we also have that interview process during the study session?
Yeah.
I think that kind of would be a good use of the study session, unless there's a lot of stuff for March already.
Oh, that's a good idea.
Well, I think
We're not overloaded for the March study session yet.
What this pushes another
We do have
for people to come in.
union update discussion at that.
Yeah, that should be fine. Yeah, oh, shoot, yeah, we don't know what.
Okay.
No,
I was just making a suggestion.
I'm saying, yeah, first, if we had a first meeting in March for interviews, that just gives us longer time for applicants to get in and.
It gives 2 March. I mean, whatever what deadline, if you want to do that. I mean, that's kind of pretty close. So council, it'll be less than a month. The council decided next week on the process. That would give 3 weeks.
No, I'm saying you're advertising it though right away.
Start advertising. Oh, I see what you're saying.
Yeah, so you're advertising now, the process that,
About a month.
that doesn't matter so much. It shouldn't matter anyways, to the applicants.
People that apply, but yeah.
Yeah. Is to say, okay, be here on March, whatever, 14th or whatever that first meeting is.
Not Valentine.
March.
Oh, March.
March.
Be here for the study session and for the council meeting.
No, council meeting.
Just the council meeting.
Is the council meeting for interviews, and then the second council meeting in March, we do the vote, is what I'm saying.
Is that what council wants?
So,
Well, we can discuss more at the.
Yeah, just confirm what we'd like to do by next Tuesday for us on the process and then the timing, and we can work on putting the announcement out right away though.
yeah, I think that's important to do.
And if we advertise it for a month, we would have applications due on March 7th. If we advertise it on Thursday this week, March 7th would be 1 month. And then the
Study session.
would be that would be after the study session.
But it'd be before the first
Before
meeting.
First meeting, yeah, so give us a month, yeah.
It's time to let them know to be here on that Tuesday.
Yeah, I think that's a good
Oh,
time.
Timeline.
I think it's a good timeline. You hear that, everybody?
It's nice to put the dates in the advertisement too, so.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm trying to.
Be at. So they will plan to be at the March 12th meeting, first meeting in March for interview.
Get this.
In the second meeting for the actual.
Won't be on Silver Service.
I mean, they don't have to probably be here, but.
I guess that would be the question. Does council want them at both meetings in March? Do you want them at the 12th for interviews?
Yeah.
And then the vote would take place at the second meeting in March?
Yeah.
6.
I mean, it doesn't really matter if they're there for the actual vote, but they need to be there for the interviews at the minimum.
It's gonna affect my vote if they're not present.
Don't usually swear them in though right away when.
I don't vote for all, it's good.
Show up.
Yeah, that's like, they take the seat immediately.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah, that's a good point. So yeah, both meetings.
They have to be at both.
If they're serious about being at council, they should be here for both meetings or else they don't get my vote. I'm serious. I do not play games where if you're not present. Why should I vote for you if you're not here?
vote.
I have abandonment issues.
Right. Anything else? Anybody?
That was good.
All right, let's call it a night. Thank you, everybody.